Well, good morning once again and welcome. It's time for our very first guest today on the show. And today we're starting with nutrition, and we are joined by Senior Food Systems and Nutrition Specialist Victor Ajieroh. Now, today we will be looking at nutrition and the SDGs. How would a focus on nutrition help Nigeria make progress in achieving the SDGs by 2030? Now, Mr. Ajieroh, you are welcome. First off, let's start by defining what SDGs are in our grand system of things and why they're important.
Yeah, thank you. So the nations of the world came together to agree on what we call the Sustainable Development Goals. It follows what we had initially called the Millennium Development Goals. There were 8 of them. And at the inspiration of the Millennium Development Goals, then they agreed on about 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It's a kind of international framework for cooperation among nations, and agreeing that these are important development goals or milestones that nations need to achieve. And then when they achieve that, it shows progress in a lot of dimensions. So you have things around reducing or ending extreme poverty. You have things around ending hunger, achieving food security and nutrition, and sustainable agriculture. You have things around gender equality. You have things around quality education. So you have it around sanitation and clean water. You have things around, improving health and well-being of the vulnerable people. So it's about 17. It has partnership. It has industry, infrastructure, and innovation. It has things around climate action. So and then there are measures of how are nations progressing. And so, but our talk today is that if you use nutrition as the centerpiece of development, it can accelerate progress across all of the MDGs.
How so exactly? Because I'm looking for that relationship.
Yeah, okay, fine. Let's even take a few of them. The first one is about eradicating poverty. What's the role of nutrition in eradicating poverty? You have the short-term impact and the longer-term impact. Now, when people are productive, energetic, and well-fed, and nourished, and they're not anemic, they can produce more.
Exactly.
There was somebody that said, I cannot produce because I am weak. I am weak because I am hungry. Yeah, and if you look at that hunger, it looks like maybe the absence of food, but they also look at the micronutrient deficiencies. It look at suppressed immunity and an overall reduction in productivity. So, but when you have good nutrition and people have daily meals guaranteed, and they can work effectively, they are more productive, they produce results, and then it can lead to reduction in poverty.
So what should be the government's effort in this instance that you've just given? How does the government play in to reducing hunger, creating a better workforce, a stronger workforce, and then producing more generally? Where do they start from?
Yeah, you can start across the sectors. Number one, food has to be available. Food in the right quantity, sufficient. So you look at the agricultural system and making sure that food is available. You look at our markets and making markets work for the poor. Yeah, so that issues around pricing, availability, and seasonality are all effectively addressed. You also want to reduce post-harvest losses so that more families have year-round access to adequate food. Now, when this happens, that can impact on productivity, that can also reduce poverty in the long run. But we have also talked in some of this series how if children are not stunted, they are 33 times likely to escape poverty in the future because they will learn more.
Education, huh?
Education is quite important. The completion rate, the learning outcomes, and then the earning. Well-nourished people can earn more, about 50 times more. But also it all connects to what we talk about maternal nutrition, because you want to make sure that children don't come into life disadvantaged. And then, so when the mother is in a good nutritional status, the outcome of pregnancy becomes great.
So
and that leads to...
It's all interwoven. It's all connected. This is
very
connected
interwoven.
To that connected.
Yes.
So what it now presents to you is a chicken and egg situation where which comes first? What does the government do first? What do you attend to first? So in a grand scheme, let's say starting from ground zero, you have to wonder exactly what do we tackle first? Do we make foods available, or do we make policies agreeable? Do we engage the people with better education? What exactly would you suggest, as an expert, should be tackled head on first?
You want to look at it across the life course and the very critical basic necessities, yeah. But the first thing, nutrients come from food, so food has to be available. That's quite important. And so making sure that...
Well, manpower, you need manpower to get that food out, is my point.
Yes, so that's why...
Chicken and the egg.
So the systems, yeah. So that's why it has to be simultaneous across sectors. And the nice thing is that every sector has what it needs to do to advance nutrition. So the health sector has what it needs to do. And there are innovations that are quite important. For instance, if you want to reduce maternal mortality and infant mortality, there are very great innovations like what we call the multiple micronutrient supplements for mothers. Okay. And so if you start from that life course approach, like it starts from the mother, what does the mother need? And then the child comes, what does the child needs? And in that way, you address the different needs and all that. Then, for instance, I told you about the multiple micronutrient supplements for mothers, moving from iron, folate that women are used to multiple micronutrient supplements that can reduce low birth weight, stillbirth, and maternal mortality. And then for the child, you have what we call the small quantity lipid-based nutrient supplement that can ensure that, anemia reduces by over 60%. And then stunting is also reduced. These are some innovations
Mr.
that
Ajieroh,
can help drive that.
You nailed it there, where you've put a focus on exactly where I believe that we should start. The first thing should be, what does mother need? I think from then on, everything else can fall into place, especially that a government can address these issues from that standpoint. What does the mother need? Healthy babies, you need a good mother, a healthy mother for healthy babies so that they're not stunted. Education for the babies, and also other policies will also. That's quite a way to look at it. Like I say, it's always a full course when you're here. It always, kind of like really intrigues the mind, the details that you give us here on the show each time you come on. But thank you very much for coming on today's one. As usual, again, looking forward to seeing you next week, I'm hoping.
I think there's the last one.
Oh, dear no. We're glad to have had you since.
All right.
Thank you very much for joining us in for the segment Nutrition.